Welcome back. This is Power Breakfast. We're starting a discussion now on, some peculiar things that make us uniquely Kenyan. I'm sure everyone watching has opinions about this, but I have a panel in studio who's going to help me discuss what is so peculiar and unique about us as Kenyans. So sitting next to me is Mr. Bbanga. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Next to him is Wangari Nyanjui. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And finally, Jaymo, Yule, Msee. It's good to see you again. So before we begin the discussion, I think we should go around and go around the room and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. Starting with you, Derek.
So I work with my many clients to help them to be seen, heard, and remembered for the right reasons.
Okay.
Through working with their appearance, their behavior, and their communication.
Okay, fantastic.
I run a company called Peperuka, and we're a lifestyle brand that celebrates really who we are as Kenyans.
Okay.
So we produce everything from T-shirts to fridge magnets.
Which you brought some of those items today. Maybe we can just... So you're behind this. I've seen the T-shirt.
Yes, the Lupita wore it.
Yeah.
Neo has worn it.
Neo wore it.
Yeah, so it really just celebrates, Nairobi in a very Kenyan way.
Yeah. Me, I love
Nairobi. That's how we say it.
Right.
You go to New York and they say, I heart New York. So we're sort of thinking about how do we say it as Kenyans, It's bad English or improper English, but it's Kenyan English.
But it's Kenyan English.
So, the idea is to celebrate that, and so Peperuka celebrates that as a brand.
Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic. Jaymo, I don't know if you should introduce yourself, but feel free.
I tell Kenyan stories from a funny perspective.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I do for a living.
And you get paid to do it. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
So, when you think about us being Kenyan, that we're excellent at athletics. Other people look at us that way. We know that we have a very strong army on Twitter, with #KOT, but there are other things that are very unique to us being Kenyan. So I'm just going to go through a list of a couple, backed with some research from Tifa Research Limited, and then you guys can just jump in and tell me how you feel about this. So let's start with our driving habits, if we will. Attitudes towards motorists in Kenya. Who do we trust? Do we trust taxi drivers, matatu drivers, boda boda drivers, women drivers? Who do we trust on our roads?
Well, I got started off by saying who we don't trust.
Okay.
I would believe that the research would show that perhaps matatu drivers at the bottom of that list, I mean, based on our everyday experience on the road. In fact, personally, I can tell you this much. My experience driving on the road is a battle between me and a matatu driver. Just that small win, if I get in before he cuts in, I get to the office and I'm like...
I like that you said it's a battle. It's a battle that I stopped, trying to win, because I was hit once by a city hopper and I just said, listen, you win every time, do whatever you want to do, I'll just let you go. All right, and what do you think about that?
Well, I think in terms, when it comes to driving, what fascinates me is on Fridays when it rains, we completely forget how to drive.
True.
So that I'm just like, what happened?
Just drizzles a little bit.
And then immediately we've completely forgotten road rules. Becomes complete chaos.
Yes.
So,
yeah, noticed that as well.
Yeah.
For me, I follow the unwritten rule. Like, I'm the only sane driver on the road.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
So even if it's other personal cars or matatus, I have to trust myself, because nowadays everybody wants to overlap.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're cut by a matatu which is overlapping, you get so angry. But if you're in a matatu and you're rushing somewhere and it's overlapping, you're actually very happy and congratulating the driver.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of our habits.
Yeah.
So it's situational. It depends where you are at that point that you are happy.
Yeah.
If it's you who was overlapping, you're happy. If it's not, then you're mad about other people doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the research actually from Tifa Research showed that boda drivers have the poorest rating, followed by matatu drivers. The research also showed that people tend to trust women drivers more. They get in less accidents. You want to buy a used car from a woman driver. I don't know how you feel about this.
Yes. True.
So you trust a woman on the road?
Yes, but I don't think I would sleep where I'm being carried around. Because I'm the one who needs to act as security. in case a matatu is trying to ingia and all those kind, maybe other people are trying to bully her on the road. But I would buy a car which have been used by a woman, because I would not tell you to buy the car I'm driving because of her.
You see, I think that's a stereotype that all female drivers, you know, drive in a certain way that they look after their vehicles. Because I actually know some women who are
aggressive. They're
pretty aggressive on the roads. But again, I think that's part of the conversation we're having today. Is that does it fit into that particular stereotype of female drivers? But in hindsight, in thinking about it, I would probably, if I had a choice, buy a used vehicle from a female driver than from a male driver. But I'll have to see her first.
Check her out.
I mean, certainly, you know, any tinker you hear, you know, you're off to the mechanic. So I think we do take care of our cars a little bit better. Maybe not as aggressive, you know, but it is situational. If there's a matatu coming in, there's times even me, I'm just like gangster. I'm like, no, you're not coming in, you're not coming in, you know?
Right.
So,
right.
yeah, it is situational.
Another thing that's unique about us as Kenyans is our tipping behavior. We're never really sure if we should tip or not, you know, because it's not in the West or the U.S. where there's a rule like, you know, this % gratuity is factored into your meal. So it's always a case of, let me see how they treat me, and let me see what I have in my pocket left over. Would you agree with this or disagree?
I would start off by saying tipping is not a city in China. It is actually something that...
Gosh.
You know... when somebody has given you service, it's a thing. And again, maybe this is a Western thing. I remember I was lucky enough to travel and I was in America, and obviously you go to a restaurant and the tip is mandatory, right? You leave that certain percentage. And obviously I walked out and I was literally chased down the street by the waiter. But I think it's a really good habit. If somebody gives you good service, that you know, give them a little something.
Yeah.
And you know, just to appreciate that they've given you good
service. How much
service.
is a little something? That's what's never quite defined. It's like I have a loose 20 bob. I don't know.
I think for us, especially many Kenyan men, it's something that we use to impress. You know, you've taken someone on a date and you want them to think you are kind and generous. So even if you get bad service, you still tip. Because it's the first impression. You're trying to create that illusion that you are someone who actually gives. But if you're on your own, you just take your tea or lunch and leave. Whether the service was good or not. So I think it's a good thing to do, but I think many people do it for different reasons.
And then the other thing is, who are you supposed to tip? Are we talking waiters and waitresses, watchmen, you know, the person who does your hair? Are you just supposed to tip any service person, or is it restaurants only? What are the rules here?
You know, I don't know that there are any rules. I think the rules are sort of evolving as we go. It's true, you know, that when you go to the hair salon, you tip the lady who does your nails, the one who does, you know, your toes, the one who does your hair. Should you give the lady who brought you the chips while you were, you know, getting your hair done?
Right.
So I give when I can, you know, and there's sort of a baseline. It used to be 50 bob, and then you realize 50 bob can do nothing for you, and so, you know, you say, okay, surely, what can I, you know, what's now my base? And then that, you can't do the same thing if you go to, you know, a fancy restaurant. 50 bob will surely, it doesn't count, right?
I came up with a formula, actually, and this was based on the building that I used to live in. They used to have several security guards, watchmen, all right? So there were about 6 or 7 who would rotate during the day. So obviously around the holidays, everybody's like, boss, you know? So, you know, you're like, okay, how much am I going to give? Part of my work means I get mugs, I get polo shirts, I get
merchandise.
They give you that. So I used to keep all of those, and then at Christmas time, I just distribute the mug for you, polo shirt for you.
That works.
That's for you.
That works.
You know, I found out that worked out really well for me. Yeah.
And then on the whole issue of watchmen, how do we feel about watchmen versus watchwomen, you know, in Kenya? Because our watchman was recently fired, and then they brought in a chick there. And I'm sorry, but I was like, dude, I'm taller than you. Like, how are you going to protect me? I did not feel secure.
I completely hear you on that. Yeah, there's a lady watchman where I work, and you know, I'm all for, you know, women can do anything men can do, and sometimes even better. But she's there opening the gate with, you know, sort of like kitty heels, and it's kind of like, this will not work in a tough situation, right? So I don't know. Maybe that's just. Do we have that bias against?
But you know, the work of a watchman is not to provide security; is to watch and report I don't know why people get the difference.
Watch and make a call.
Yes, or maybe scream to cause attention. It's because kama ingekuwa ni watchman wa kuproleta the bouncers to be at the gate, you know, all kind. The watchman, you just need someone who's alert, someone who's sharp, someone who is able to tell like this person came with this person. And also another thing, you have to live very well with the watchman. You know, they have all your information.
They do.
Intelligence. If someone was to collect information, they know what happens in your house.
Yeah.
So I think anyone can be a watchman. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone who can fight or beat up people or stuff. No.
Well, in my situation, the lady lasted, I think, 3 weeks. I didn't complain, but some people did, and I think she was replaced by a man, which I'm fine with. And I know this sounds horrible. Feel free to chip in if you're watching. #PowerBreakfast.
You know, speaking about watchmen and Kenyan habits, reading the newspaper, that's a rite of passage Kenyans do every day.
True.
The best time to rob, again, my former building where I lived, because there were several watchmen, was at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning, because the security guards were knee deep in newspapers like this. Like there's an exam. Kama kuna mtihani. From cover to cover. You could literally walk in.
It's crazy.
And, you know, they would not be bothered.
Yeah.
So
interesting habits there of Kenyans. And as far as money is concerned, money and relationships have always been a thing that is going to, you know, come up as an issue, regardless if you're Kenyan or not. I have some research here from TIFA Research that women apparently were more likely not to share their ATM pins with their spouses or boyfriends in relationships, and that money is always something that comes up as an argument within the household. So I'll start with the lady here. How do you feel the factor of money plays into relationships with Kenyan men?
I think that's universal. I don't know that there's something peculiar about Kenyans. Would I give my PIN number to my partner? Sure.
You would?
No, I don't think you're sure.
You would?
Sure, yeah, why not?
Have you ever done that before?
No, but
exactly.
I could.
There's a reason for that. Okay.
And I suppose, you know, it goes back to the stereotype of, you know, what's his is ours and what's mine is mine, and you sort of have to have a nest egg. But I don't know that that's peculiarly Kenyan.
It's
necessarily.
Across
I think
the board.
it's across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jaymo, I'm sure you have something to say about this.
What I'll say is, like, and I've said it before, a man was created to provide. So it's for you to hustle and provide for your woman. Let her keep her money. If she can help, let her be out of kujitolea. But don't demand for, like, oh, you know, you're earning, you need to do this and this and this, because it also makes you lose grip and control. And I'm not saying like negative control of controlling the family and stuff, but you are the one who is supposed to run around, hustle, and provide for your family. If you have a girlfriend or you have a fiancé or you have a wife who feels they want to chip in, let them do it because they feel they should, not because you're coercing them to do that.
Now, would it surprise you to learn that most urban Kenyan women who are interviewed for this research found that they're willing to split the bills around the house? That's not an issue for urban women. Would that surprise you, or?
No, it wouldn't, but because also there's a bit of laxity. We have also a new generation of men who want to use money that has been made by women. I think that's what has been happening.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying there's a new group of lazy people who doesn't want to work. They want to, you know, depend. So you go, you get a nice girlfriend who's loaded, and you're just there hanging and you're not hustling. A man naturally, unafaa kutoka huko utafute. Whether hata kama ni 10 bob, wacha mtumie 10 bob yako.
And you see, I think that's the thing. That for a lot of men, and I think a lot of Kenyan men, it is about having a part of me that you don't necessarily want to share with the partner in your life. For example, your financial standing. Now, we know a lot of men who might be having serious financial problems, and so if I was to give, or if that person was to give their ATM card to, you know, their partner, then, or their PIN number, then, you know, she might be able to find out, oh, this is exactly what your bank account. So there's a thing of, you know, pretending. I'm good, I'm well, whether I'm, you know, I'm living on credit or whatever it is, and you just want to kind of keep that away from your partner. And I think that's something that certainly Kenyan men, but like you said, you know, it may be across the board.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the thing that is peculiar to Kenyans is, you know, somebody passes away, and then at the funeral, you know, families appear, you know, and nobody knew about the other, and that I think is unfortunate. That, you know, those are the things that I think, if we could change some things about our culture, that would be one of the things.
That would be one of them. I'm going to go through a couple of the tweets that came through on the hashtag 100 Ways to be Kenyan quickly here on Twitter. So somebody here, Wangeshi, says, using ice cream containers as food dishes and yogurt cups as glasses in our homes. Throw nothing away. Right?
Or recyclers. Maybe it's a good thing. We're recycling.
Green economy.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The economy is tough.
Yes.
Her Highness saying, parents' dreams for us to finish studies while our own dream is to find true love. Okay. Another Kenyan thing here, we have the whole issue of us being amazing athletes as well. Let's see, 100 ways to be Kenyan. Where guys of Nokia Pindogo have graduated to Ukona Trukola Unyonehi Namba. Alright, bit of comedy there. 100 ways to be Kenyan. Single and ignoring people like you are taken. What's your purpose in life? This person is bitter. What? I feel like there's a bit of bitterness in 100 ways to be Kenyan. Let's see. 100 ways to be Kenyan. Setting aside some utensils for visitors only. Yes, that is from Mackenzie Graham.
Special cutlery.
Exactly. Someone else says bargaining and questioning everything, including why Mama Mboga packs groceries in a certain way.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. 100 ways to be Kenyan. Samroy here says compliment something good by saying baya sana. So, you know, some interesting, you know, things about us being Kenyan. I'm not seeing too much negativity, surprisingly, here, but as Kenyans, we do complain a lot, don't you think? I mean, especially when it comes to issues of politics. I feel like we are the first people to jump on a news item and say, the government is not doing this. Do you feel like we complain too much, or we complain the right amount when it comes to us and political issues?
I think it's changing. Yeah, there used to be a time where it was this attitude of tunaomba serikali. Yeah, so everything is, we were just really waiting for the government to do things for us. I think, and I hope that people are becoming more engaged citizens, and they're, you know, jumping in a bit more. And, you know, if you look at the work that Boniface Mwangi is doing, and his sort of more activism, I think it's changing a little bit. So I actually like that Kenyans are that engaged with politics, that at 7 o'clock, wherever you are, you'll find a TV to watch the news. I don't think that happens anywhere else. That's truly Kenyan. 7 or 9 o'clock, you're watching the news. Yeah, and, you know, you're at a pub, the music is turned down so that you can watch the news. I think that's actually a good thing. Yeah.
And it is important that we care. Just one last tweet here from Victor Moshere that says, 100 ways to be Kenyan. Welcome to Kenya, where policemen take free lifts but end up asking for a bribe when they reach their destination. There's some things you just kind of accept as Kenyan. Maybe we can just start winding up this conversation. Some final comments. We'll start with yourself, Jaymo. Like I said, I haven't seen too much negative comments. Some things are just the way they are, and this is who we are as Kenyans.
You know, our country is very beautiful, and as much as people would complain, we also love our country so much. And people love politics. Every Kenyan is a political analyst. You go for family meetings and like spend 30 minutes or 1 hour before discussing politics and analyzing everything. You go to visit friends, like everywhere you go, even in offices. But one thing that has come out very strongly is like, we are not negative people. Even if something bad will come, people will whine maybe for 1 day or a few hours online, then they'll go back. We move on very fast.
We do.
Which for me is a very good thing, because we move on from good things and move on from bad things. Yes.
Yeah, especially if you're in the limelight and a scandal happens, you're guaranteed in 3 days will be
over. Of course, I'm just checking online, like, what is happening. Yeah, but our country is great. Yeah. That's one thing I celebrate about our country.
Proud to be Kenyan.
Yes.
Okay.
I completely agree. And, you know, we do have, Kenyans are resilient in the sense that we can really laugh at ourselves, and we have the ability to make light of some really tough situations. I mean, it's, especially now going into election season, things like that, it's a bit tough to be in Kenya, but, you know, we're able to celebrate that, and that's truly what I love about being Kenyan.
Yeah, you know, speaking about griping, whining as a national pastime, that's something we love to do, but it's almost like we're members of one family, and so we're allowed to say that, and we're saying it with a bit of love to encourage ourselves. But just like Wangari said, I mean, it's the resilience as Kenyans, the entrepreneurial spirit that will take us in spite of everything that's going on in this country. And yes, hashtag proud to be Kenyan.
Yeah, so whether you've been contributing to the 100 ways to be a Kenyan hashtag or not, I hope you can find a couple of things that make you proud to be Kenyan. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to Derek, Wangari and Jaymo for being here and being open with your opinions. Me, I love Kenya. Do you have a Me, I love Kenya? Just
coming soon.
It's coming soon.
Yes.
All right.
And I need a t-shirt.
For free. Peculiar Kenyan habits. For free.
I need. I didn't say. Maybe I'm buying.
All right. We'll get those contacts. Stay tuned to Power Breakfast. Willis Raburu is still coming up to talk about the business of makeup. So that's coming up in a little bit. A little music from the band now. We'll be right back.